Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya. We'll get right into it. Obviously, a ton of hype going into this one because of their backstory. The first time they fought in kickboxing, Alex Pereira beat him by decision. It was close. It was a toss-up. Some people have Izzy. Some people have Adesanya. Second time they fought, Izzy hurt him real bad. Got him in the standing 8 count. Pretty much out on his feet, but he made it. So fight continues. And then Pereira knocks him out cold. So 2-0 against Izzy coming into this one. When he transitioned into MMA, everyone was like, "Oh man, what if he makes it all the way to Izzy and they do the rematch in MMA? What's gonna happen? All this stuff." And it happened, and here we are talking about it.
I mean, they definitely put a bit of a turbo boost on his rise to that, but
Yeah.
Izzy did clear the pathway for that, so it is what it
Yeah,
is.
it makes it easier. That's what me and Ramiro always say. Like when there's a dominant champ like Izzy, who's kind of cleared out of division, like the bar gets lowered for what you need for a title shot. And I mean, Pereira had the right matchups, right? Where, I mean, honestly, his first fight against Michaeliadis, it was kind of clear that he was the better fighter, but stylistically, they like kind of gave him a grappler in his first fight, and I was like, why are you doing that? But he passed the test, right? And then the slugfest with Bruno Silva, and then the big leap in the rankings against Sean Strickland. I don't know why Sean Strickland took that fight.
Ego. The
Yeah,
ego's a
right.
big killer in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he puts on like the tough guy mentality, right? So he's not going to turn down a fight. But
Yep.
Pereira knocks him out with the left hook like he does everybody. And then here we are. So 4 fights into his MMA career. Yeah, he had one MMA fight in the UFC. He was like, "Get him. We need somebody to fight Izzy." And then
Yep.
it kind of happened. But the fight, I mean, Izzy, it was an interesting fight because in that first round, Izzy was kind of making Pereira guess on everything. Where like anytime he would throw a feint, Pereira's reacting big to it. Izzy was doing this thing where he threw his jab like 3 different ways. Like here's one way where it's almost like a back fist jab. A couple other times he'd throw like the really sharp jab, like he's trying to punch through him. And
Hmm.
then other times he would punch kind of like 8 inches away from his face with the jab. And because Pereira kept blocking high out, I mean, you can see it right here. His hands are out in front. He's not like shelling up, right, to block
He
anything.
almost looked like Sean Strickland. Alex did the whole first round.
Yeah.
It was
Trying to
super
parry,
weird.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Izzy would throw that jab like a foot away from his face, and he would try to parry it or block it out, and it set up the 2 behind it where he'd throw the right
Yep.
hand over the top, and he landed it like a few times in the first round. Was it the first round that he like hurt him at the end of it? I think it was.
Yeah. And the hook at the end was like 100% like a second or two afterwards.
True, but and here's where the bias shows. Shout out George. I'm late. Special guest host toast. Yeah, hashtag gang. We got the Geek Squad in the building. But yeah, at the end, that left hook, he rocked him with the right hand. He was kind of like out his feet.
Bad.
He like,
Standing
when
8 count.
someone, yeah, exactly. Would have been a standing 8 count. He sprung back up and is looking the completely wrong way, and then gets hit with the left hook after the bell. But to be fair, and this is where the bias will show, like I said, shout out DL, putting the heart in the comments. But if I didn't like Izzy, I would be like, fuck that guy, man. He lands his left hook way after the bell. But when I like a guy, the rules state you don't fight to the buzzer. You fight till the
You
ref
fight.
stops you.
Yeah.
So
But also, like,
I'll give him a
he
pass.
he had that cocked for sure. It's
Yeah,
not
it
like
was ready to
he
rock.
had decided that before the bell.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's like, it wasn't like was it Jermaine Durandamy versus Holly Holm, where it's
Oh
like
wow.
2 rounds
Yeah.
she like throwing full combos.
It's all like arm. No.
Yeah. But yeah, so second round, it's like, okay, well, Izzy took the first round. How's Pereira going to react to that? And he started landing a good jab, and he got this takedown, which I was like, whoa, that's the training with Glover.
Yep.
But you could tell once he got the takedown, he was like, what do I do on top? This is not a position that I'm used to.
Yeah. The two biggest notes I made through the whole fight was in the first round. I said, like, I made a lot of notes through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the two biggest notes I made through the fight, the first round was like every time Izzy puts his back up against the cage and comes off, he gets hit every single
Yeah.
time. It may have not been like a bunch of combos, but he got hit every time. And then the
Mhm.
second one was neither one of them, like as soon as they got to the ground, you could see the holes. Like it was very
Yeah.
apparent, like where they were placing their hands, where they weren't placing their hands, when they weren't, and when they were fighting hands and stuff like that, going to get wrist locks and fight grips
Yeah.
away. There was a whole lot of not seeing stuff should have
Not
happening.
knowing what to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out Regent says, imagine that shot after the bell stopped Alex. Man, Izzy would have gotten so much hate. Yeah, that would have been insane. If that like
yeah.
dropped him that left hook. Uh yeah, Regent says the grappling was tough to watch. It's like it's the opposite. When two strikers grapple, it's sometimes pretty brutal to watch.
Hmm.
Whereas, like, when 2 wrestlers cancel out their grappling and they have no striking, and they cancel out their grappling, and all of a sudden they're just clacking each other, like the first Colby versus Usman fight, very, like, basic striking. They're, like, kind of
Yep.
throwing their jabs and their 1-2s, but they were just cracking each other because neither of them have striking defense, but they couldn't wrestle each other. It's like the
Yep.
complete opposite. There's a picture too. So, second round goes to Pereira, right? Because the grappling, I think, but he
For
landed some
sure.
good shots too on the feet. But then the third round, Izzy comes out with his wrestling, takes him
Yep.
down. Uh, Izzy was doing the thing where he would clinch up, get the over underhook, and just lock his grips. And he tried a couple trips, but he was kind of getting chewed up in that position too because he was going for the control where Pajeda was kind of landing those knees to the body, which were pretty nasty. But
Every time he
eventually,
got grabbed, he was like body, body, body. Whether it was his
yeah,
hands or his knees, he was always hitting the body.
yeah, and when Izzy did get the takedown, here's what we're talking about, where he kind of had him in like that side saddle position on back mount, and he before this he was reaching and he had 2-on-1 on that far side, that the hand that's down, so Pajeda couldn't like post with it, but he was just
Yeah.
kind of like trying to stand up, where it's like anybody who's been in that position knows your legs are just completely killed. Like
Yeah.
you try to like because you're on your shins kind of, and you're just that weight on your hips, you just can't stand up. Your legs just don't work.
At all.
And he was just kind of like, I'm just gonna keep trying to stand up. And Izzy was like, I'm just gonna keep controlling this hand, and I guess I got this.
Yeah.
Uh,
And another bad look is like the whole reaching for the hand to try to stop it instead of like
yeah,
blocking your own face or moving your hips and shifting your legs out and like
yeah.
changing where weight positions are and stuff like that. There's just a whole lot of only choosing one thing to do, and the one thing he chose was like, oh no, hand is coming at my head.
Like, don't punch me. Uh,
Yeah.
Shout
Bad
out
luck.
HW Comer says that KO is in the air tonight. Alex has 1 power, 2 Izzy's number. There were 3 Wakanda Kings once, only 1 left now.
Oh,
And that
dude,
one
good
is about
shout
to
out.
lose.
Stop taking pictures. Stop taking pictures in the back when you're all dressed up as the same because it doesn't work out for you guys every time.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, to be fair, is Alex got the win, right? But Izzy did. He was 3 rounds up going into the 5th. So Alex has his
No,
number with the results, but it's not like Izzy can't beat him. I think Izzy can beat him.
going
Uh,
across three or two sports, 3 fights as well. It's like you add up all the rounds. It's what's Izzy's up 12 rounds to maybe like 15 or something like that. That's insane. He can
yeah, I
he can
mean,
beat him.
he can definitely beat him. That 4th round was kind of interesting because it looked like kind of both of them were taking it off a little bit. Um, I mean, with Pajeda, he can do that because all he needs is 1, right?
Hmm.
I mean, Izzy proved that he could hurt Pajeda, but it's just different. That like HW Comer says, the power is just completely different. He landed the left hook a couple times, but I thought Izzy. It's funny, man. I was like watching it, like when you said Izzy, when he would get his back up against the fence, he was getting hit. He
Hmm.
got hit with a stiff jab, and then a couple times he ate the left hook, and I was like, man, Izzy's got just like an all-time great chin to take these shots. And and then in the 5th round, he ate the left hook again and just could not hold on.
I mean, he didn't fall. Like I was talking to somebody I
Yeah,
was doing cardio with, my boy Chad. Like right here, this is my argument for like against the stoppage is like he
yeah,
may have been looking down and trying to be defensive, but like we've seen
he was
boxers and
rolling.
other fighters do things like this. but his hips were never below his knees. Like he at any point in time here could have exploded out with a hook, could have extended out and grabbed him. Like you got to give the champion a chance here. Like and
Yeah.
just in general, refs in general right now, I think just stop fights a little bit too early.
Yeah, I think so too. Regen says it looked to me like if Alex had better cardio, he could just come forward, out Izzy on the fence, and finish him. He definitely Izzy struggled on the fence in this one.
A lot.
Because that's normally, and I don't know if it's because he's gotten used to being able to do that against MMA strikers,
I think
and
so.
it's been a while since he had like a legit striker who have him in that position and know what to do. But I mean, he did a great job. I mean, like I said, he won the only round he lost was because of grappling. It wasn't even because of the
Correct.
striking. HLB Comer says, but he can't beat him. That's the whole point. Nobody cares about rounds one if you are knocked out at the end. I disagree. I think the whole fight matters. The result ultimately matters the most, but the whole fight, it doesn't erase anything. Like Usman's still a better fighter than Leon Edwards. I'm just gonna say it.
Correct.
Like, yeah, he got knocked out, but he's still a better fighter. But at the end of the day, Alex is a champ, and he finished him again.
Yeah. Technically.
Izzy is another size bully, just like Connor. He struggles if he doesn't have an advantage over you. Again, HLB Comer, I'm going to disagree because he was outstriking him the entire fight.
Kevin Gastelum was technically bigger than him. I mean, he's definitely not longer than
Just
him,
at
but
the range. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, would you say that Kevin Gastelum got bullied by Izzy? I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's an interesting fight. I think they're probably going to do the immediate rematch, even though Robert
I think
Whittaker is
he
probably
deserves it
like,
more than Glover.
yeah, he definitely deserves it more than Glover. Yeah. When you have the argument is like when you're a dominant champ, you have a ton of title defenses, you kind of get that immediate rematch. But the real answer is if
He
you're a
cleared
big
out the
enough
division.
draw. Well, no, the real answer at the end of the day is if you're a big enough draw, then you're going to get the immediate rematch. So
Sure.
I think
Connor.
yeah, exactly. So I think he's gonna get the immediate rematch. Even though Robert Whittaker maybe kind of deserves to fight Pereira, but I don't know. HB Comer says doesn't matter. Same as the last Cheeto fight. You can win rounds against him, but you can't win the fight. I get that point honestly, because there's certain guys who do have that game plan of either setting up traps and willing to lose rounds to set those traps, and if they can get the finish, it works out for them. And there's some guys who try that and it doesn't work for them, and there's some guys who do that and it does work for them, like Cheeto, like Pajeda. I don't know, but I could watch these guys fight. It's the most entertaining Izzy fight in a long time, and I could watch them fight like 10
But
times a year.
that's because of the opponent. I mean, how many
Mhm.
opponents of his are willing to just go forward? Cannonier wasn't willing to just go forward. The only one,
Oh yeah,
again,
true.
Kevin Gastelum.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a certain guy to bring a fun fight out of Izzy because the gap is usually pretty far. Regen says with some adjustments, I can easily see Izzy winning the next one. He fought beautifully and made a few mistakes that cost him.
I think
Agree,
the
and I
adjustments
think
would be just listening to his coaches because I think that he, at the end of his fights, likes to sort of, or just like in general, has like these spots where he likes to do Izzy, and they're great and everything. But at the same time, I don't think Eugene Behrman would have liked too much of him having his back against the cage the whole fight.
yeah, and I think watch the rematch come out and Izzy's just like shooting from across the cage. It's just, but HB Comer says y'all are just some Izzy nut huggers. Look, man,
Yes,
I am honestly, but I also really really like Vegeta, and I was just happy this fight happened, and like, um, these are the best types of rivalries when it's not just like look, I'm a DC fanboy, right? Because I mean, working in Gilroy, you see him all the time. You get to talk to him. I helped him put together a gaming PC because he wanted to get VR when Luke Rockhold showed it to him, but John Jones had his number, and it's a rivalry, right? But the fights weren't close. It's cool to have a rivalry when the fights are close, when one guy's beating him for the whole fight and then gets finished, or like it's just much more entertaining for I don't know. If you're a fan of Adesanya, you should be a fan of Izzy or Pajeda because it makes Adesanya fight better, and you can look forward to better matchups. Like, it's one thing to watch someone just style on somebody, but when you actually see somebody get tested, it's just way better.
I mean, I'm definitely happy that the division's opened up, even
Yeah.
though it is going to get sort of locked up with this rematch. But it is what it is.
And then if Izzy beats him in the rematch, then you got a trilogy, and then the division's on hold for how long?
No, I think at that point you move on to something else. You give Alex somebody else to just
Yeah,
satiate
maybe. Yeah.
the division.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Yeah, we can move on. Omar, shout out Omar says my jaw dropped seeing that finish. I was left frozen like Elsa. Yeah, not
Yeah,
a quote
that's
that ages well.
dude. I said this morning. Like, you got to watch out what you say at some of these interviews, man, because karma will come back and fucking bite you.
Yeah. HW Comer says I'm just saying that Alex is 3-0. Talking about how Izzy could beat him is just delusional right now. Again, I'm gonna disagree because it should be 2-1. I thought Izzy won the first time. I mean, to just look at
It's
the results
also
and
it's
say that they
also
paint the whole story, not accurate.
it's a little weird to say like he can't when like we live in a world where like you know the journalist Mike Jackson has a win
Yeah.
and like Matt Sarah beat GSP. Like
Anything
we
can
live in
happen.
a world, we live in a weird matrix where like anything can happen. Nobody thought Amanda Nunes was going to beat Chris Cyborg, and
Yeah.
it happened. And turned out that she is the greatest female fighter in the world. So
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Romero and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. All right, everybody, thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.